So welcome back everybody. We'll be continuing with statistics chapter number 3, census and sample methods of collection of data. Let us quickly recall what we have done so far. We have done the census method in the last class. Then we did sample method as well. We started with methods of sampling in which we completed random sampling, purposive or deliberate sampling, and stratified sampling. We'll be continuing with systematic sampling today. Let us see what is systematic sampling. So under this method, units of population are numerically or graphically and alphabetically arranged. So the whole population is arranged either numerically or geographically or alphabetically. Then every nth item of the numbered items is selected as a sample item. So every nth item you can take once you arrange the population in some serial order, then every nth item of the population is selected. The value of n can be anything like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For example, the population size is 100 and you have arranged it in a certain sequence. Now you set n equals to 5. So every fifth item is going to be selected as a sample item. So the items that would be selected for sample would be 5, 5th, 10th, 15th, 20th, 25th, and so on. So this is how the systematic sampling works. And what are the merits of this method? This method is comparatively simple and there is very low possibility of personal biasness. Since we are following a we are following a proper system, so there are very less chances of any personal biasness in this method. Moving on to the demerits. Every item in the population does not get equal chance of being selected. So here every item is not getting equal chance of being selected just because every item is dependent upon the previous item. So it depends what would be the value of n, and then only the items would be selected. And this method is also not suitable for homogeneous items. This method is also not suitable for homogeneous items. So if the population is homogeneous, this method is not suitable. Moving on to the next method, that is quota sampling. Quota means reservation. So in this method, population is divided into different groups or classes according to different characteristics of population. It is somewhat similar to purposive or stratified sampling, in which population was again divided into the groups. The only difference here is in quota, we set the quota. Quota means reservation. For example, we give the proper weightage. We give the weightage over here, that how much weightage is to be given to which category. The last one is convenience. So as the name suggests, the method is totally dependent upon the investigator convenience. As in this method, the investigator can choose a sample according to his own convenience. Right? So we are done with the 6 methods. The 6 methods of sampling are done. Let's move further. Now, what sets the reliability of sampling data? So it depends upon the following factors. The reliability of the sampling data depends upon the following factor. First, the size of the sample. If the sample size is large, the reliability is going to be more, and if the sample size is less, the reliability is going to be less. Similarly, in the second, the method of sampling. If we are choosing systematic sampling, then reliability is going to be more, and if we are choosing random sampling, then the reliability is going to be less. It also depends upon the biasness of correspondence and enumerators. If the correspondence and enumerators are biased, then this method is then the sampling data is less reliable, and if they are not biased, then it is more reliable. Also, training of enumerators is an important factor. If enumerators are trained, then the sampling reliability would be more, otherwise vice versa. Now comes an important topic, the difference between the census and sample. So the difference between census and sample can be done on the following factors. First is coverage. Census cover lesser area, whereas sample covers more area. The cost of collection of data in sample is less as compared to census method. Census method is suitable when the characteristic of population is heterogeneous, whereas in homogeneous population, sample method is more suitable. Then the nature of items, if they are similar, then it is suitable. Then the sample method is not suitable. Otherwise, census method is suitable in the case of heterogeneous data. Then the accuracy. All we can say is census method is more accurate as compared to sample method, just because in census we are choosing 100% population for investigation. And for the verification part, verification is difficult in census method, whereas it is easier to find false or verify in the case of sampling method. Time involved is another factor. So if more time is involved in census method due to obvious reasons that more data is to be investigated as compared to sample method. Moving on to the last topic of this chapter, statistical errors. There are two types of errors which can happen. First is sampling error. So sampling error means these are the errors which are related to the size or nature of sample selected for study. If the sample size is not appropriate or the nature of sample is not appropriate, then there are bound to be some errors in the conclusion, which are known as sampling errors. But there are some non-sampling errors as well. That means the conclusion can be wrong due to some other factors as well, like error of measurement if you measured it wrong, or due to error of non-responsiveness of some factors, the conclusion might be wrong. Misinterpretation might also lead to some wrong conclusions. Your calculation errors or arithmetical errors can also lead to wrong conclusion, and the biasness is again a factor which leads to errors in the conclusion. So these are the errors which are also known as non-sampling errors, because these errors are not based on sampling. These are errors caused due to some other factors. So with this, we conclude our chapter number 3, census and sample method of data collection. Let us quickly recall what we have done today so far. We started with the difference between census and sample method. Before that, we also did systematic sampling, quota sampling, and convenience sampling. Then we moved on to the difference between census and sample. Please have a quick look at the basis. What are the bases of difference? Then the difference between census and sample. And the last topic is statistical errors. We just discussed there are two types of errors, sampling errors and non-sampling errors. So with this, we conclude our chapter number 3. That's it for chapter number 3. We'll be continuing with chapter number 4 in the next class. Till then, do not forget to smile. Keep very good care of yourself and keep smiling, guys. Tata, bye bye. See you in the next class. Thank you so much.